House, just quote, like 9/11 in New York. I'm not scared of the Trump administration, he said in the bogus letters. He continued saying, we are tired of this president messing with us Mexicans. I kind of feel like you should have seen through this one. We have done more for this country than you white people. You've been deporting my family, and I think it is time Donald J. Trump gets what he has coming to him. I will self-deport myself back to Mexico, but not before I shoot your precious president. Now look, I don't want to normalize people using like ChatGPT to write everything for them, but I feel like even AI could have made this a little bit less obvious that this person was trying to frame someone. So those letters were fake. They were written while the guy was in jail in 2025, and then he had family members send them for him. I don't know if they knew the content of the letters, but if they did, arguably they too broke the law. We'll see. Anyway, ICE agents arrested Reyes shortly afterwards. Again, he's the victim. Now, what was the reason that he tried to frame Reyes? The situation gets kind of crazy. Scott was trying to get payback after he was accused of stabbing Reyes and stealing his bike in 2023. Prosecutors said Scott believed his fake letters would help him evade conviction in his case involving Reyes. Scott thought Reyes would not be able to testify against him if he was deported. So to be very clear, they understand that the deportation scheme is so out of control that just making up some letters might lead to a person being deported from the country, and I can game that to help myself in my legal troubles. So that's a massive indictment of what the DHS is doing. But then claiming Reyes was responsible for this when it's clear that he wasn't, that looks bad for Noam, but it looks even worse when you realize that she really should have known that it wasn't him, because according to Milwaukee police, they knew instantly it wasn't Reyes because Reyes could not read or write in English and had very different handwriting. But you're not gonna let facts like that stand between you and sucking up to the boss. Sharon, what do you think?
I think this is a plot written by, it could be Caroline Leavitt. I mean, remember what happened with her family and her nephew and the brother, and all kinds of goofy things were going on where she just was on her way for a visitation, got picked up, and suddenly, oh, you might be deported. This is exactly what is going on, what's been going on. It's not just that they're doing these cruel things like disappearing people, but they're making people targets in multiple ways, whether it's women who are being assaulted because people in masks walk up to them and claim to be ICE, or cases like this where someone is out of the blue told that they are a subject of a major crime, okay? That's what happens when you throw all due process out the window, and anybody can point a finger and there you go.
Yeah, 100%. This entire thing is such a mess in so many different ways. Well, that is unfortunately all the time we had for the show. We're actually a little bit over, but thank you as always, Sharon. It's a pleasure to have you here to make it Big News Wednesday. Thank you.
Pleasure's all mine, and I hope things continue to get easier for your daughter and her schooling. She's gonna love it.
I'm sure she'll get used to it. And by the way, she always calms down after just like a minute or whatever. So I'm sure she's having a good time right now. Tomorrow, by the way, Sabrina's gonna be back on the show. I'm super excited. We haven't talked to her for a very long time. Can't wait to catch up with Sabrina, so definitely be here for that. And Friday, the epic return, assuming he does actually return. Brett Ehrlich will be back from his trip to Japan, so definitely be there for that. For now, stay safe out there, stay sane out there, and we'll see you soon.
welcome. It's indisputable. I'm your host, Rashad Richey. Good to be with you. We have a lot on the agenda today. Breaking down news of the day with me, my contributor, none other than my dear friend, sister, who activates those who are advocates. She is an advocate of advocates. Shar Bates is on the program, host of the Shar Bates Show, activist extraordinaire, consultant, and marketing strategist, all around brilliant human being. Glad to have you on the show, Shar.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Glad to have you. All right. Top story of the day. Boots on the ground. They said no boots on the ground, but boots on the ground, ladies and gentlemen. Boots on the ground likely after the Republican Party downplays U.S. troop casualties. There's a lot to this story. Here it is.
I just want to say I am more fearful than ever after this briefing that we may be putting boots on the ground and that troops from the United States may be necessary to accomplish objectives that the administration seems to have. But I also am no more clear on what the priorities are going to be of the administration going forward, whether it is destroying the nuclear capacity of Iran or simply the missiles or regime change or stopping terrorist activity.
Senator Blumenthal, sir, Trump said a couple of months ago that he totally obliterated Iran's nuclear capabilities. So how could this be about obliterating again nuclear capabilities? If you're confused, we are dumbfounded because you have access to information we do not. And still, a majority of MAGA, not Republicans, but a majority of MAGA, they still believe that Donald Trump has a plan. Well, part of that plan, according to his administration officials, no boots on the ground, no regime change by way of American influence, et cetera, et cetera. We told you this was BS from the beginning. Now here's Senator Elizabeth Warren.
I just left a classified briefing on Iran, and here's what I can say. It is so much worse than you thought. You are right to be worried. Trump administration has no plan in Iran. This illegal war is based on lies, and it was launched without any imminent threat to our nation. Donald Trump still hasn't given a single clear reason for this war, and he seems to have no plan for how to end it either. Like a lot of you, I am really angry.
She just left a classified briefing where the rest of the story is told to those who have access to power by way of our democracy, representative form of government. She gets clearance, she has access, she gets briefed, she comes out of the briefing. She cannot legally share what was shared with her. She can share her emotional and academic and intellectual response to it. She can share that. That's legal. And in her sharing, she says, it's actually much worse than you can imagine. There's no plan. But I want you to see the 1-2 combination. So a few months ago, without provocation, we send missiles to Iran to destroy their nuclear capability. No imminent threat then. We then go in to war with Iran, with our co-partner in war, Benjamin Netanyahu, a man, once again, who is wanted for war crimes. So the American government is now coupled with a nation that is governed by a man who is wanted for crimes against humanity. That is the current state of our nation. And who got us here? Trump. Trump. Maybe the first bombing was to disarm them. Maybe the current war was because they have been crippled by way of the first bombing. I'm speculating, but it seems to fit. And what reason does Trump have, the anti-war presidential candidate? What reason does he have to now go to war? Is it oil? Is it blackmail because of the Epstein files and Israel probably having access to the real ones? We don't know. But here's what we do know. It's wrong, regardless of party affiliation. regardless of your political doctrine, you know this is wrong. Here we go. Other reactions from Senate Democrats. Senator Chris Murphy, after the Iran briefing, quote, "I'm more convinced now that this is going to be open-ended and forever. They clearly seem fine with hardline elements being in control of the country because they plan to permanently run air operations under the country in order to chase their missile making capability, drone making capability, and nuclear capabilities." Go to Hawaii. Senator Brian Chaz added, quote, "There are times when you go into a classified session and you walk out with a better understanding about the gravity of the situation and the rationale behind the military action. This is not one of those times. Quote, we remain as confused as the American people are. They have had 3 or 4 or 5 justifications for this act of war over the last 4 or 5 days. And nothing in this classified session alleviated that confusion. Because the real answer is worse than the lies. So you're not going to be told the real answer. But here's a real one for the Democrats and the caucus. And this is why I highlight the weakness of leaders like Hakeem Jeffrey and Schumer. What Trump did is against the damn law. He doesn't have the power to go to war. Only Congress, based on the Constitution, has the power to declare articles of war. Pete Hegseth, his guy for the Department of Defense, told on him when he said the word war. We did not start this war, but yes, you did. But that's not the important part of your statement, sir. The important part is you contextualized it as war. Not a preemptive attack, not a select strike, but war, which means Trump is ripe for impeachment under the articles of the Constitution. There's more. 6 troops have died so far, that's the number count, and Republicans either A, don't give a damn, or they justify their deaths as a necessary sacrifice. Here it is.
This is what the fake news misses. We've taken control of Iran's airspace and waterways without boots on the ground. We control their fate. But when a few drones get through or tragic things happen, it's front page news. I get it. The press only wants to make the president look bad, but try for once to report the reality. The terms of this war will be set by us at every step.
And if we lose anybody in this operation, they will have died a noble death because they will have risked their lives and sacrificed their lives to make us safer here at home.
It's just unfortunate. You know, we lost what you said earlier. 6 people now. And my understanding, they were in Kuwait and one of their neighbors, and they got hit. So it's just unfortunate that happened. But this is war. It's going to get worse before it gets better. But I'm telling you, who's going to win this war? The United States of America is going to win this war.
Sir, you didn't even know how many soldiers had died prior to doing that interview. How many you say again? Yeah, that's right, 6.
It's the fact.
Go ahead, Shar.
It's the fact that so many people that have never actually served for this country are speaking on, diminishing the lives of the people that are putting their lives on the line for a war that we are in. We're literally at war via assumptions. Yeah. They're not losing their lives for anything, other than ego. And I think that is the sad part, is that they've thrown out so many different reasons why we're at war to, conflate so many different bases that we'll typically we won't, probably more than likely we won't find out why we're even at war for another 10 to 20 years, just like how, the truth about 9/11 is truly just now coming out. And it's just sad that, these soldiers are just used as pawns. and to just be giving any type of reason. I am very appreciative of Senator Warren and other people coming out and saying what it is, because these should not be closed door conversations. These should be conversations that are had with the American people, because those are American soldiers and those are our tax dollars that is paying for this, for y'all to just do whatever you want to do to please Netanyahu. And I mean, it's honestly ridiculous. Like, how many weapons of war? Like, at what point but at the same time, I also want Congress to stand up more, because at what point are you just going to keep saying, I don't agree with this, I don't like this? Like, what is the next steps here?
Right.
That's what I want to see.
And the Supreme Court has only given Congress one option for penalizing a president, and that option is impeachment. You can no longer hold a president criminally responsible, according to the latest ruling from the US Supreme Court, but you still have impeachment opportunity intact. And I don't even hear these cats saying it for folks to rally around it, much less doing it. There's another senator totally out of touch talking about the smell of war, Senator Mullen. Here it is.
War is ugly. It smells bad. And if anybody's ever been there and been able to smell the war that's happened around you and taste it and feel it in your nostrils and hear it, it's something that you'll never forget. And it's ugly. And fortunately, you have President Hegseth, or I say President Hegseth, Secretary Hegseth, that has got a great relationship with President Trump. And President Hegseth's been there. He's done that.
The President Hegseth, you said? Sir,
He
President
meant what he
Hegseth?
said.
He knew what he did. We call that a Freudian slip. President Hegseth? Sir, what you've been talking about behind scenes, what have you been saying about Secretary Hegseth behind the scenes? Okay, here's what's interesting. Now, real veterans responded to this clown. One veteran tweeted, quote, hey, Senator Mullen, what the actual F are you talking about? Did I miss the part of your bio where you served in combat or served in uniform at all? Call of Duty doesn't count, end quote. Another ex-user noted, Mark Wayne's only notable combat experience was taking cover from the violent mob outside of the US Senate chamber on January 6, 2021. He's describing war as if he has actual experience with it in a very stolen valor adjacent way. And I agree. I don't put it past these guys, obviously. Apparently, military commanders are justifying this war by telling troops that bombing Iran is part of God's divine plan. Mike Weinstein, founder and president of the Military Religious Freedom Foundation, a nonprofit group established 21 years ago that focuses on ensuring constitutional protection for service members, said, quote, we started getting calls in the wee hours of Saturday morning from people saying their commanders were just jubilant about this and trying to tell people, quote, don't worry, it's all part of God's plan. These complaints have come from more than 36 military units situated in at least 30 different military installations. And let me say this, the reason why these active military soldiers who are in the best position to tell you the truth of what's happening, not some paid off DC politician, they're calling in these complaints and reports because they realize they are working for religious zealots. That's why they are working for religious zealots. And they are telling you the truth. It's underreported, but they are telling you the truth. There's more. A non-commissioned officer waiting for deployment outside of Iran, who is Christian, reported to MRFF that a commander told them to tell fellow troops that the war in Iran was, quote, all part of God's divine plan, end quote. The commander allegedly cited the book of Revelation and the section specifically referring to Armageddon and the imminent return of Jesus Christ. According to the complaint first reported by Larson, the commander said President Donald Trump, quote, has been anointed by Jesus to light the signal fire in Iran to cause Armageddon and mark his return to earth, end quote. The commander had a big grin on his face when he said all of this, which made his message seem even more crazy, the complaint said. Weinstein said some service members called him on Sunday to report that they were being invited to Bible studies at their commander's personal homes to discuss how this war was all part of the plan and it's all being lived out in the book of Revelation and the Christian theological aspect. Part of what makes the account so disturbing, he said, is that service members are not able to push back when they're given orders that blur the line regarding the separation of church and state. This is all about time, place, and manner, he said. If you're being proselytized to by your superior, you can't say, get out of my face. Under the military's criminal code of justice, insubordination is considered a felony. Mm-hmm. So despite polls showing that this war is unpopular among Americans, Trump says he doesn't care. So let's look at the numbers. 27%. Some 27% of Americans say they approved of the strikes. That's it. Which were conducted alongside Israeli attacks on Iran, while 43% disapproved, 29% are unsure. About 9 in 10 respondents said they had heard at least a little about the strikes, which began early on Saturday with a surprise attack that killed Iran's leader. In response to the poll's findings, the president told the Post, quote, I think that the polling is very good, but I don't care about polling. I have to do the right thing. I have to do the right thing. This should have been done a long time ago. End quote. Insanity is before you. But as I remind people all the time, we are the light. There is no competition between light and darkness. Where there's light, darkness flees. Shar, thoughts?
I have so many. The fact that it has been over 100 servicemen that has filed complaints about this. You are telling, first of all, Trump, please keep Jesus out of this, because Jesus don't know. Jesus is looking at this like Kermit the Frog. I ain't said none of this. Jesus has nothing to do with this. The fact that it's the fact that they play on religion when it's convenient for them, and when it is not convenient, it has nothing to do with anything that they're doing. They don't know any of the verses that condemn what they're doing, but they seem to always find passages in the Bible to conflate what they're saying. And it's a sad reality, because we have these things. The military servicemen are supposed to be protected from, their religion should be protected, but at the same time, they are charged with a felony for insubordination. Yeah. This could affect their payment after they get out of the military, but this could also take away their life from them even being able to have a life outside of the military after these acts of war. And I truly don't understand how so many people, including Congress, including Americans, including other countries, are sitting by and watching this and not doing more about it. And it's sad that our servicemen truly don't have a choice in this matter, that they have to go out and do something. This is why so many of our servicemen come back here and they're so damaged and they are so mentally irreparable, because the things that they have been forced to do are out of their hands and will literally be a life or death decision that they're making right there, that they don't even have the option to not follow through with.
Yeah.
My heart goes out to them.
Truly sad. And we are supposed to have co-equal branches of government. So when one branch of government steps out of line, the other branch of government, unfortunately, has to step just as far out of line in order to put that branch of government back in line. And if you don't, you're proving yourself not to be co-equal partners in governmental aspect, period. So, impeachment is the least you can do. We'll bring updates as they come. Hell of an election last night. Hell of an election. Jasmine Crockett, yes, she did concede. She concedes to James Talarico in the Senate primary. But man, there's a story. Put it up full mass. We have the details. So Texas Representative Jasmine Crockett conceded to State Representative James Talarico This was the Democratic primary on Wednesday in their competitive Democratic primary contest for Senate, pledging to help support his bid for the first statewide win for the party in decades. This morning, quote, this morning, I called James and congratulated him on becoming the Senate nominee, end quote. Crockett wrote in a statement shared to the social platform X, quote, Texas is primed to turn blue and we must remain united because this is bigger than any one person. Remarkable statement, I believe. As of Wednesday morning, Talarico was leading with 53% to Crockett's 46%. Now, there are some signs of voter suppression. Let me talk about them. Hundreds of voters were turned away from polling places under a new voting rule adopted by Republicans in Dallas County. That is where Crockett's current district is located. Voters were rerouted to their assigned polling precincts due to a switch prompted by the county Republican Party. In previous elections, voters were allowed to vote in any precinct of their choosing. As a result of the confusion, a judge ordered that polling times in Dallas County be extended to 9 p.m. Votes cast by Democrats from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. were ordered to be counted as provisional ballots. However, the Texas Supreme Court later ordered that ballots cast after the original poll closing at 7 p.m. must be removed from the official tally. Now, typically, a provisional ballot is only counted if the number of outstanding provisional ballots is enough to outweigh the difference between the two opponents. So if you have 100 provisional ballots that were cast, but the person won by 200 votes, they don't count the 100 provisional ballots because you don't have enough provisional ballots to overcome the vote difference. So that becomes a distinction. However, in this case, it's different because the individual should have been given a regular ballot. But due to the restriction or the limitation of the precinct, they said, okay, we're going to allow a provisional ballot, which should count as a regular vote in this scenario. We're going to allow a provisional ballot to stand as a regular vote. And the order to have the precinct open until 9 p.m., an extra 2 hours if you vote in your proper precinct. They say, oh yeah, and we're not going to count those either because those are going to now be considered provisional, completely and utterly against the spirit of the rule, in my opinion. So speaking of supporters at her campaign headquarters, Crockett said, quote, I have no idea how it is the clerks are going to know who was in line by what time. That's right. Because the rule is that if you're in line by 7, then you get to vote.
Yeah.
And so once there was a court order saying you had until 9, I'm sure that there were people that joined the line after 7, she added. They now were telling them that you have to separate the votes out. What this means is that we will not know what votes are to be tallied from the election day out of Dallas County, okay? Now, we're going to get into another argument. The Democratic primary also reignited the party's debate over electability with some Democrats. We've talked about that many times on the indisputable electability argument, including allies of Talarico, openly questioning whether Crockett could win against a Republican in November. Crockett, a black woman, pushed back on those critiques, telling reporters last month, quote, I am tired of people asking whether or not I am electable. The reality is that is nothing but a dog whistle. The Texas Congresswoman criticized Super PAC supporting Talarico for airing an ad suggesting Democrats would lose in November if she was at the top of the ticket, saying those efforts were aimed at tearing down a black woman. And Crockett is not the only one pointing this out. Here it is.
So yes, we need a fighter. And I was so ready to vote for Jasmine Crockett because I love her. But I voted for Talarico because we need somebody who can win.
As hard as it is to say, I think she's going to be harder to elect statewide.
At no point in time, if you were to reverse Jasmine Crockett's background with James Talarico, and just basically flip-flop their own personal backgrounds and have them still be the same people. At no point, at no place would you ever say, well, here we have James Talarico, who is a lawyer, practiced law, was an activist, has civil rights background, has worked on congressional oversight, has worked on the federal level, and is now prime candidate to go to work for, take a seat in the Senate. But I'm not going to vote for him because I'm going to vote for this soft-spoken black woman, middle school teacher who has no federal experience. I just feel like she would be better. You see how ridiculous that sounds? You see how ridiculous you sound? Stop playing in our faces.
Did you know that Talarico uses a lot of pro-Israel language and framing? Yeah, but that's different. Different how? He's more electable. In what way? Hey, what are you making there? A skirt. So what you're saying is when Jasmine does it, it's a deal breaker, but when Talarico does it, it's strategy?
For years, Jasmine Crockett was everything that the far left claimed that they wanted in a leader. A brilliant civil rights attorney, a fierce advocate for voting rights, a woman who stood in committee hearings and dismantled Republican talking points with surgical precision. When she called out Trump and the Republican Party, aggressive far leftists erupted in applause. When she became a national voice of the Democratic Party representing the future of a multiracial democracy fighting for the working class, she was hailed as our Democratic superstar. That was when she was convenient. That was when she was their megaphone, their frontline soldier, not when she became their candidate. Representative Jasmine Crockett announced she was running for the United States Senate. Praise from the far left is oddly not there. Instead, they gave their support to her opponent, James Talarico, a 2-year middle school teacher, youth pastor, and state representative. A man whose legislative accomplishments, while respectable, pale in comparison to Crockett's record as a practicing civil rights attorney, elected official in both the Texas House and the United States House of Representatives, and national party leader who served as co-chair for the Harris-Walz campaign. America's far left is backing this man who has centered his campaign on opposing billionaire influence, blasting wealthy donors, and proposing a $10,000 contribution cap. But he still accepted a $59,000 check, one from Republican mega donor Marion Adelson. Yes, the same Adelson who poured $100 million into pro-Trump efforts in 2020. Black women are celebrated as symbols, but not trusted as leaders. They can be the voice of your movement, the face of your resistance, the warrior in your viral videos, holding the goddamn megaphone. But when it comes time to actually give them power, to let them do the work, when they ask you for your support to move up and not just speak out, suddenly there are concerns about electability.
You see, black women are your power base if you want to win in this country. They are your contributors, your volunteers. They are the ones that would tell their co-workers, their family members, their peer group about the excitement of your campaign. They would stand on the street corners. They would knock on doors. They would keep you honest to policy. They would keep you responsible to the bigger picture. And because Jasmine Crockett is a black woman, and for no other reason, she's contextualized not in the context of electability, but in the context of selectability. And the bias of those on the left are playing out in an expressive way. Let's be very clear. Democrats, if you haven't learned anything yet, I don't know if you will. Republicans have proven to you that the electability argument is a false argument only existing in the parameters of your mind, because they elected the most unelectable white man they could find after the presidency of Barack Hussein Obama, who got elected. Once again, overcoming the electability argument against him that was positioned against him by none other than the Clintons and others. He beat the machine. That is supposed to teach us something about the argument of electability. And if you don't have excitement in your candidate, listen, the brother is a decent candidate. I disagree with him on some things, just like with all Democrats. But he's not an excitable candidate. He doesn't excite me. He doesn't excite a whole lot of people. So this electability argument is how we got Joe Biden and also how we got Trump. Again, because of the electability argument. All right, so BET, Callahan on BET said news broke this down as well. When Jasmine Crockett announced her Senate run, the reaction wasn't just about policy. It wasn't even really about party. It was about tone. It was about volume. It was about whether she was, quote, too much. And if you're a Black woman in America, you already know what that means. Let's be honest about something. America loves Black women's labor. It loves our turnout numbers. It loves our organizing power. It loves our ability to fix broken systems, but it does not love our authority. But when male politicians raise their voices, that's strength. When they go viral for fiery exchanges, that's leadership. Black women don't get that grace. Tone policing of Crockett by Democratic leadership. So when Representative Jasmine Crockett stood before reporters June 2025 and announced she was withdrawing from the race for the top Democratic spot on the House Oversight Committee, she delivered the kind of truth Democratic leadership desperately needed to hear, but refused to acknowledge. Quote, "It was clear by the numbers that my style of leadership is not exactly what they're looking for," she said, her voice steady, but her message unmistakable. Let me translate what she couldn't say publicly. The Democratic Party just told one of its most effective warriors, and by the way, one of its most effective fundraisers, that she's too Black, too bold, and too uncompromising for leadership. The numbers tell the story leaderships want to hide. In June's steering committee vote, Representative Crockett, just 6 votes, received 6 votes. This is the same woman who traveled to over 100 events across the country campaigning for other Democrats. The same woman who gave nearly $600,000 to other candidates and raised more than $4 million for the caucus. The same woman who, while her colleagues cowered in comfortable silence, stood as one of the only sitting members of Congress actively and vocally fighting this administration's assault on democracy. Let's talk about the differences in fundraising in the Senate primary race. Put it up for mass. So you have a super PAC. A super PAC supporting one of the Democratic candidates, Talarico, reported $6.1 million in contributions from the 1st of January to the 11th of February. But more than half came from a political action committee that was entirely funded by a dark money group on its last monthly report. The pro-Talarico Super PAC, Lone Star Rising PAC, disclosed that it got $3.75 million of its money for the period from another super PAC called Government That Works. That group's report for January showed that it received $4 million from the 1630 Fund, a leading dark money hub for Democrats that has previously been associated with Swiss billionaire Wyss and Democratic mega donor George Soros. Some of the notable individuals include, to the Lone Star Rising PAC include LinkedIn co-founder Reid Hoffman, who gave $500,000. You have Austin philanthropist Simon Cox, who contributed $400,000, and the anonymous funding is more politically sensitive for the Democratic candidates who are running on platforms that include getting big money out of politics. Talarico has been critical of corporate PAC money and dark money, though he's responded that he is not going to unilaterally disarm when confronted about questions of super PAC supporting his campaign. There's a lot more, but obviously you get the picture. We have to get out of this electability, suitability, political norming that's happening in the Democratic Party, because if we don't, those on the left are no better than those on the right, because all of this is rooted out of bias, racism, and bigotry. All right, Shar, thoughts?
Let me say this. First off, Jasmine, we are all so proud of you. So very proud of you. They hate to see an educated, strong, melanated woman coming for what they say that we can't. We see you, and we see everything they had to do to stop you. You amped up You amped up people so much that this was the biggest Democratic turnout for the party since at least 1970, second to only the 2008 presidential race. I want you to sit with that for a second. So don't let them question your power. We are with you, and we waiting to support your next move. It is literally So important for you not to allow them to continue to bottleneck us, because we know they love to see us on shelves versus podiums.
Right.
But baby, we was made to be in the front, okay? And I want to know who we need to sue, who we need to support on the suing of everything that happened. I would also like to know how many votes were removed from the tally because of the Supreme Court decision. And I think that it is BS for y'all to say that Talarico is more electable because he's easy to swallow for some of y'all, because y'all just don't like to see strong. Y'all really don't like to see strong melanated women, but y'all don't like to see strong women, period. That's what it is. That's what it is. But a melanated woman that's strong. Oh, and shout out to the brother that flipped it in the accomplishments and the education, because if she was coming from being a middle school teacher, y'all would say that she's unqualified. Y'all would say that she does not have the experience. Y'all would say that she lacks everything that she needs to be a leader. But because she has more education than most of the people that's going against her, that is a problem. Well, Jasmine, we know, listen, your road is not done, baby, because you got more people supporting you than you've ever had going after anything. And we're ready for your next move.
And she's a young leader still. Like, even in the context of political leadership and young leadership, she's among the young leaders. We forget that sometimes because she's so dynamic and capable in her job, and also courageous. And we have to get to a place where we stop electing people who are so damn measured. That is why we are in this position now. Republicans figured this out. Stop electing measured people to do hard work. Elect people who are believers like you, who hold your values, and that's how we win. All right, we'll bring you updates as they come. We got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
Hey everyone, Mateo Scarapo here, author of Black Buck, which is Shop TYT's first fiction book ever. I'm honored. So, Black Buck is about a young man named Darren who's living in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. He lives with his mom, he has his girlfriend, he has his best friend, he has his neighborhood, and his neighborhood has him. Darren's also working at a Starbucks in Midtown Manhattan. And one day, this man, real suave and good looking, comes in and asks Darren to give him his regular. But for some reason, Darren says no. This man named Rhett Daniels, who's the CEO of a startup called Someone, located on the 36th floor of the same building, is impressed. And he invites Darren upstairs, and then he extends an offer to join his elite sales team. Darren reluctantly joins, and he soon realizes that he's not the only black salesperson there. He's the only black person in the entire company. So he goes through hell and back in order to make it to the top. And once there, he has status, money, power, but he says, you know what? I don't like being the token black guy. So he hatches a plan to help other people of color infiltrate America's tech startup sales teams, redefining what it means to be a minority in the workplace. This book definitely, if you couldn't tell, touches on many things that are relevant to this moment that we're all living in right now. But it's also connected to the many moments in history that have come before today. I hope that you read it. I hope that you enjoy it. And if you want to order a copy, go to shoptyt.com. Thank you, be well, and happy 2021.
Here's the inside scoop on diners in LA. You want good pastrami sandwich, you go to Factors. You want to see some people in the business, you go to Nate and Al's. You want the best variety? My secret spot's the Nosh. Now here's the inside scoop on politics and news. You go watch the Young Turks live every day at 6 o'clock Eastern.
All right, welcome back. We got a lot of comments. We'll read as many as I can. Teo_1790, Operation Epstein Fury. That's right. And Haku Dragon. I don't think I've met this young lady yet, but what a regal impact she has. Welcome, Queen. Honored to have your insightful commentary. Once again, Shar Bates. All right, we'll appreciate her as well. Neon Grim the Dragon. Not only did he say President Hegseth, he said it twice. That's right. He corrected himself, then said it again, and didn't correct it. This is because he said to Hegseth behind the scenes, listen, man, you're going to be President Hegseth one day. I don't give a damn about Trump, okay? This is what's happening behind the scenes. And he let that part slip during an interview. And believe me, Trump is hot. I promise you that. All right? Yeah. B Brown 7436 is going to implement the draft next, especially if he doesn't care about popularity. Tyler Hackner 9731. I really do think the electability argument is ridiculous and it was thrown her way too much. Yes. Good point. I think Dringer _Dragon. Is it a dog whistle if everyone can hear it? More like yesterday. This viewer said that it's like a tuba. All right. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, consequences, repercussions.
Richie, Kim, both of you, Kim, Richie, Richie.
Count of three.
Richie.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What are you gonna do?
Oh,
I told you to get off.
He went to sleep.
I told you to get off me. Did you not hear me say get the off me? Okay.
Kim, Richie, Richie.
Count of three.
Richie.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What are you gonna do?
Oh,
I told you to get off.
He went to sleep.
Called an involuntary nap. Put it at full mass. What can I say about this? A Trump supporter gets instant karma after harassing a black patron. Now, we do not condone violence on indisputable. We do condone self-defense. According to Atlanta Black Star, they did great reporting. A viral confrontation between two older men, a black man seated at the bar, and the white man who refused to leave him alone has people amazed at the audacity. Multiple warnings, including a countdown before a knockout punch. It wasn't enough to deter the agitated customer from acting tough when he saw a black man enjoying his drink at a restaurant's bar. In the clip recently shared on Instagram, the black bargoer appeared to be minding his business and keeping to his own space as the unidentified man hovered over him, angry with arms spread wide, as though welcoming a fight. That's called an aggressive approach. An aggressive approach can warrant defensive tactics. You don't have to wait for somebody to hit you. If they're close enough, if they're aggressive, you can defend yourself because you believe an attack is, well, imminent. Okay? All right, he didn't have to wait long for an answer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, what are you going to do? And that was the answer. It's pretty quick. Without getting up from his seat, the black bargoer pulled off a difficult move. This is an OG right here, okay? Swinging a left hook over his right shoulder to hit the man square in the face. The single punch sent the alleged harasser backward, and he dropped like a stone on the restaurant's floor, but his fall was softened by the black man who grabbed his head as he went down. Quote, I told you to get off me, the bargoer can be heard saying, quote, did you not hear me say, get the F off me, end quote. The man on the floor who had been so brazen just seconds before appeared dazed and confused as he uttered a single word. Okay, let's put the picture back up again. Initially, you have conflict. aggression, and then you have agreement. He said, okay, at the end of this, and there's an agreement what this whole thing is about. Being able to, in unison, agree to the conditions of this reality. Didn't I tell you to get off me? Okay. That's love to me. Even if it's tough love, it's love, all right? We don't have any additional information. It doesn't seem as if there was any more conflict after that. We do hope everybody's okay. Sir, somebody loves you, I'm sure. And because of that, we provide an opportunity, a mirror for reflection and correction. All right. Shar, thoughts?
You got to stop playing with older Black men, first of all.
Right. Now, especially this time.
Right. That's the first thing. The next thing is you got to find something safe to do. I don't even think that he expected him to knock out so fast. If you seen, he went to hit him again and he fell with him because he wasn't even standing up no more. So he wasn't even, y'all got to stop allowing Trump to embolden y'all to do these things as if you're not gonna F around and find out in real life. Because you don't have Secret Service with you. So I don't know who y'all think is coming to save y'all, but we are prepared, to defend ourselves at a moment's notice when you come with that energy. And so you got the day you deserved.
Yeah, I mean, the courtesies were extended from, stop doing this to a countdown that normally you don't get the countdown.
He gave him a countdown. He went, remember, he didn't even let him, you know what I'm saying? Like you did your own countdown to your own demise. So congratulations. Yeah. You play stupid games, you get stupid prizes.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to reverse engineer the decision making. All right. Got something for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish a Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free! Back off!
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Right? Which is discrimination.
Yeah, we're at Smoothie King, and they're discriminating and saying we cannot get service because Jake has a Trump service on.
Okay, well, you said you were going to leave, so please just have a great day and leave so we can continue what we're doing.
We were just wanting a smoothie, and you literally looked at us, and I asked you if everything was okay. You said we don't feel comfortable serving you because of my husband's hoodie. Yes. That is discrimination.
Okay, well, have a great day.
That is illegal.
That's illegal. I said Trump discriminates us. Right?
That has nothing to do with us wanting a smoothie.
Okay, but that's who you support. That's who you love, though.
You don't. But you don't own this. You don't own Smoothie King.
You're gonna no longer have your job.
Literally. I'm confused. Hey, is this a joke?
Good luck maintaining your employment.
I don't care. Have a great day.
When your company is charged, yeah, you will.
So literally, Jake's wearing his hoodie. They would not serve us because Jake's wearing a Trump hoodie. Talking about discrimination.
That's embarrassing.
It is embarrassing. No, what's embarrassing is that we're American citizens and I wanted to get a smoothie.
Because my manager was here, she said the same thing to you. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying to you, okay?
But hey, you know that's a crime, right?
It's not.
Discrimination is a crime.
We have the right to refuse service here, and that's what we
Not due to political views, though. Not due to political views.
You asked her what was wrong, and she said that she was uncomfortable,
it's a
right
crime.
or wrong? You asked the question, and she answered. Have a great day. Have a great day. The door is right there. Have a great day.
How embarrassing.
Have a great day.
How embarrassing for you, madam. Let me count the ways. Put her up full mass. People are still entitled to dignity, even if they work at a fast food restaurant or a Smoothie King, whatever it may be. Keep that picture up, Jordan. There was a time in America when my grandmother could not sit on the bus that she paid for where she wanted. There was a time in America where the tax dollars of Black people would not afford their children the opportunity to have access to a quality education, but the vast majority of those tax dollars would go to the white side of the county, even though they paid the same in taxes. Those things were considered legal to do. Legal, protected by the law. So this video shows Erica Lindmeyer and her husband in a fiery verbal confrontation with two young employees at a Smoothie King in Ann Arbor, Michigan on Sunday, March 1st. In a separate video shared Monday, one of the workers joked that she might have accidentally started a race war and called on the public to help remove Erica's video. Quote, "I am a minor, and she recorded me without my permission. The people in the comments are all white, and they're all being hella racist, guys. Please help me get this video taken down," she implored. Now, the exploitation of a minor, that's illegal. That can get you in trouble. So they record a minor, they post the minor without permission, and they believe they are still in the right. Once again, what is being cited? A young person who actually gets it, a young person who realizes that Trump represents a presidency for white supremacy, a presidency that protects gatekeepers of a restricted ideology. So this is a very young person who is civically engaged and woke enough to realize that this is a symbol of oppression. Understand that the swastika, during the days of the swastika, was at one time an agreeable symbol until the powers that be, through Hitler's regime, told you exactly what it meant for them. For them. And then the swastika became universally known as an anti-Black, anti-Jewish, anti-everything but white male symbol. But there was a time when it wasn't. So as with Trump, people are now starting to get it. That MAGA and Trump wear is a symbol reference for white supremacy. So this young person, in my opinion, these young people stood up and spoke out, just as Rosa Parks and others who were very young people at the time stood up and spoke out against the oppression they were experiencing during their era. The two employees have since been fired. As a brand, Smoothie King is committed, according to them, to ensuring our stores are a place free of discrimination of any kind, where every guest and team member is treated with care and respect. Following an investigation into an incident involving a guest who was refused service at a franchise location in Michigan yesterday, the franchise owner has taken immediate action, and the two employees involved are no longer with the business. Both the franchise owner and the Smoothie King Corporate have reached out to the guests several times to apologize and will continue to follow up. The local owner is also taking further action and enforcing mandatory retraining for all employees that outlines our guest experience standards. Jordan, put them back up again. Congratulations, you got teenagers fired from their jobs. Was the company owner within their right to fire the teenagers? Yes, according to the basic rules and policy of the store. Yes. Were the teenagers within their right to say, we have dignity and we refuse to serve you because you come in here with symbols that represent Black folk oppression? Yes. Yes, and they sacrificed for it. They got fired. In the aftermath, one of the now fired employees took to social media to explain what happened and told viewers what drove her decision to boot the couple from the store. Quote, "We need to stand up. Like it's a matter of good versus evil. It doesn't matter red versus blue, baby. None of that. It's good versus evil. Stand up for what's right. Stand up for what you believe in," she said. The employee also called for GoFundMe to take proper action and not allow her to raise money off discriminating against others, as reported by the Detroit News. The GoFundMe was later disabled. Before it was disabled, the GoFundMe account said the employee refused service to Trump supporters who recorded me as a minor without permission. After they posted a video, I got hundreds of hate comments and threats, making the job no longer safe to return to. There you have it. All right, Shar, thoughts here?
The fact of the matter is, they knew exactly why they felt uncomfortable before they asked them what the problem was.
Right.
You know that you're walking around with a hate symbol on. And how they feel, you can't say that you're discriminated against because you asked them how they feel and you didn't like their response. They are absolutely right that they have a right to express themselves, especially if you're asking. And yeah, I would be suing them and Smoothie King because you can't, just post minors like that. But also, this is why it's important for that get that little baby on the campaign, get that little baby with some real activists. Because listen,
Right.
baby, it's hard to be Malcolm in corporate.
That's right.
It's hard to be Huey in corporate, my baby. And so, as a Michigander, born and raised, shout out to you, baby. I don't know what you are interested in doing in the future, but I commend you. And I really want you to get under some experienced activists and find a job that supports your passion and respects your political beliefs.
That's right. And the authenticity is legitimate and the energy is real. We need that energy for the movement. All right, we got more on the other side. Indisputable, stick and stay.
Hey everyone, Mateo Scarapo here, author of Black Buck, which is Shop TYT's first fiction book ever. I'm honored. So, Black Buck is about a young man named Darren who's living in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. He lives with his mom, he has his girlfriend, he has his best friend, he has his neighborhood, and his neighborhood has him. Darren's also working at a Starbucks in Midtown Manhattan. And one day, this man, real suave and good looking, comes in and asks Darren to give him his regular. But for some reason, Darren says no. This man named Rhett Daniels, who's the CEO of a startup called Someone, located on the 36th floor of the same building, is impressed. And he invites Darren upstairs, and then he extends an offer to join his elite sales team. Darren reluctantly joins, and he soon realizes that he's not the only black salesperson there. He's the only black person in the entire company. So he goes through hell and back in order to make it to the top. And once there, he has status, money, power, but he says, you know what? I don't like being the token black guy. So he hatches a plan to help other people of color infiltrate America's tech startup sales teams, redefining what it means to be a minority in the workplace. This book definitely, if you couldn't tell, touches on many things that are relevant to this moment that we're all living in right now. But it's also connected to the many moments in history that have come before today. I hope that you read it. I hope that you enjoy it. And if you want to order a copy, go to shoptyt.com. Thank you, be well, and happy 2021.
Here's the inside scoop on diners in LA. You want good pastrami sandwich, you go to Factors. You want to see some people in the business, you go to Nate and Al's. You want the best variety? My secret spot's the Nosh. Now here's the inside scoop on politics and news. You go watch the Young Turks live every day at 6 o'clock Eastern.
All right, welcome back. Always good to be with you. We got a lot of comments. I will read as many as I can. Neon Gremlin Drag and food service and retail workers deserve respect more than those other professions because an avalanche of human detritus constantly rains down on them, yet they endure and serve. That is correct. And everyone needs to thank people who are in service-related industry. I have a rule. I don't care if the service was bad. Everyone is entitled to a bad day under the conditions of dealing with folk like us in this country. No telling what has happened. I tip high no matter what the service is because I know there's some jerk that didn't tip at all. And I also know that if they're having a bad day and that bad day is expressed to you, it's because of what somebody did to them. And they're already underpaid and overworked on top of that. All right. And Delta S9T, bruh, Rashad, I greatly appreciate you always saying you don't condone violence before showing necessary violence. That's called self-defense. That is self-defense. That's what it is. Mr. Steppy69, that brother was so polite, then even proper when he whooped his tail. Makes me smile. Yeah. And V Brown 7436, that young lady stood 10 toes down and she was raised well. There you go. I think this is Loquacious C3S. We love you, Dr. Richie. It's my first time responding to your live. I've been watching you since 2022 when I first began watching YouTube. Thank you so much for that. Greatly appreciate you. Iron sharp as iron. And Fashion Killer says, dude, never mess with people sitting down because you don't know how big they are once they stand up. You're right. You have no idea what's about to happen when they take that stand on you. Factually Active says, alcohol personality plus alcohol political programming equals missing toothage. Yeah, there you go. All right. What if I told you that an ICE officer threatens to shoot a kid during a 911 call? We have the recording. Here it is.
911, what's the address for your emergency?
Northeast Crowley and Prescott.
Can you tell me exactly what happened?
Some kid is punching my window. I need assistance right now. Nice. He's following me.
Are you stopped?
No, not anymore.
Okay, and is he following you in a vehicle or on foot?
Bike, in the motorized bike. He broke my window or my mirror.
Okay, and when you say kid, about how old is he?
He's, I don't know, about 20 years old.
Okay, why is he punching your car?
Well, I work for ICE, I guess.
Does he have any weapons?
I don't know, but he has a big jacket on. I need someone here now, or else I'm going to have to shoot this kid. He's at my window now.
He's at your window again?
Yeah, he just threatened me now, so I'm gonna have to act on this kid right now.
Are you getting out of your vehicle?
I'm gonna have to now.
Why? You can drive away. We have officers en route to you.
The quote from the ICE agent is this: I need someone here now, or else I'm going to have to shoot this kid. Is the kid posing an imminent threat to your life, sir? Well, that would be murder. You just threatened to murder a child who poses no imminent threat to you. Put up the head of ICE, the acting director. You're looking at Todd Lyons, acting director of ICE. I'm now going to take you to the background of what happened. So in October, a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officer grew frustrated by a kid tailing his unmarked Ford Explorer. What was the kid driving? His unmarked Ford Explorer on a motorized bicycle. It was 3:30 p.m., Northeast Portland. As the two approached Northeast 82nd Avenue, the ICE officer opened the center console and pulled out his service weapon. He later told police. This is in the report. He told a 911 dispatcher to send local officers or else he would take matters into his own hands. Quote, I need someone here now or else I'm going to have to shoot this kid, end quote, said Israel D. Hernandez, according to a recording of his emergency call exclusively obtained by OPD. Hernandez did not open fire. The suspect, who Hernandez described as being in his late teens or early 20s, ended his chase and fled. The suspect was not identified in record. Officials with the Department of Homeland Security did not respond to multiple questions about whether they were aware of the incident or the status of Hernandez in the agency. A child, a kid, you're driving, you believe that you need to stop in order to shoot a child, so you call 911, big bad policeman. You call 911, you tell the 911 operator some malarkey. 911 operator, they don't know what you're trying to get accomplished here. They're trying to figure out what the hell are you calling us for without saying it that way. You have no actual reason to engage. They're basically telling you, move on. We got cops on the way. You can go. You don't have to do this. Is your life in danger? No. All right, Shar, this gives another indication of the personality, ideology, and psychology of those who have been recruited as ICE agents in this current modern context. What say you?
I'm still stuck on an ICE agent with the last name Hernandez, but I mean, Anyway, the fact of the matter is, it's giving Zimmerman vibes. You remember on the call when they told Zimmerman to go on, like move around, and he didn't?
That's right.
It to me, it just says that you have an itching trigger finger. And you want to do something more, because it's not a reason for you to have to shoot this kid. You want to shoot a kid, clearly.
Yeah. And then if he would have shot him, he would have said, I told the police that if they don't get here fast enough, I was going to have to do this. And then what would have happened? The spin masters at the Department of Homeland Security and ICE, they would have spawned a tale. This kid was a terrorist. He was a criminal and all kind of other ridiculous things. And by the time, maybe do it. And by the time we get our hands on the true information to correct the narrative, the false narrative has already been implemented to the masses. And they know this. And until they're held accountable by a court to stop it, they will continue to do it. Okay, we'll bring you updates if there's an update to bring. Once again, we still don't have information of the kid who was unfairly targeted in that situation. All right. We've heard of walking while black. We've heard of singing while black. We've heard of sitting at your damn house while black. Now we have a new one. Didn't think we could, but we do. Drinking coffee while black. Here it is.
There you go.
Bianca, are you still living on?
Yes.
Okay. What were you doing over in New Cumberland right over there?
Dropping my son off.
Okay. What'd you hand off to the gentleman that walked back in the house?
His coffee cup.
His coffee cup?
Yes. Okay. I'm tired of him leaving his mess in my car.
Okay. All right. Do you have anything illegal in the car?
You want to search it?
I mean, if you want to let me search it.
Like, what do y'all think we did a transaction or something?
Well, that's what it looked like.
Because we're black?
No. I couldn't see in your car. Your window tends too dark.
Okay,
anyway.
so exactly. So, but it looked like we were doing a drug transaction.
Yeah, so you pulled up, he came out, you handed something to him, he walked back in the house.
No, you missed it.
We're not going to argue about it.
I came from this way, went around, took him home,
I saw where
dropped
you came
him
from.
off.
I saw where you came from.
And I dropped him off to his house.
Okay.
He left his cup here because I'm tired of his being in my car. I beeped the horn, gave him his cup.
Okay.
That's what happened.
Okay. Do you have anything illegal in the car?
No.
Okay. You don't have any crack?
I don't.
Weed?
Sir, I'm a business owner, okay?
Okay.
Does you have any crack? Sir, come on, man. You don't even have the right to the pretextual stop based on the information provided. You saw nothing illegal. You saw nothing suspicious at all. You made a mistake. It was coffee, a cup of damn coffee. And after she explains it to you, you then ask, you got any crack here? Just hanging around inside of your vehicle? What? Do I have any crack? Sir, it went from probably racist, absolutely racist. And it gets worse. Here it is.
I don't have no crack. I don't have no weed. I don't sell drugs, do drugs, no, none of that bullshit. It's not a question.
It was a question.
That's very derogatory for you to say. probably because I'm black, he was a black man, and y'all think that it looked like we were selling drugs. No, because I'm highly upset that I feel offended.
Upset. Would you be willing to let me search your car?
No, for what?
Well, because it looked like you did a drug transaction back
I
there.
gave him a coffee cup.
Okay. What kind of coffee cup?
It was a white coffee cup.
Why are you screaming?
Because I can't believe because you keep saying that we made a drug transaction. And you police officers are horrible.
I'm horrible.
You police officers, sir. What we going to do, sir?
So now you're grouping me into a group of people.
And
right?
you're grouping me into a group of people where it looked like I was doing a drug transaction.
You could have been Mexican, you could have been white, you could have been green, you could have been yellow.
And I'm black, and it looked like that I was making a drug transaction.
Okay. What's the name of the gentleman that you stopped with?
That's my son, Anthony.
The bigger guy.
Yes.
That's your son?
I'm 55 years old. I'll be 56 in February. What we doing here, sir?
I'm asking questions. I'm doing my job.
That's your son? You mean the big, older African-American? The big black guy? Oh, he looks too old to be your son? It's too large. You're clumping him in, madam. You're generalizing him. That's insane, isn't it? This man has just asked, do you have crack in your car? And complaining about being generalized, clumping him into another group he doesn't belong to. Put it up full mass. In the caption of the video, she explained, I just dropped my son off at his house, and 2 police officers from Fairview Township, or should I say, 1, was an Attorney General Agent Drug Task Force. His name was Agent Edwards 599. And the police officer from Fairview Township was Officer L. Alexander, badge number 5218. So I proceeded to go on about my business, and this is the outcome of why he stopped me. She then shared the follow-up. I want to truly say I appreciate each and every one of you who shared and commented on my horrible video of racial profiling at its fullest. I also want to let you know I will be taking this all the way to the highest possible level that I can. I refuse to sit down and let this happen to me and there be no repercussions. And I did not allow him to search my car. I did not give him my son's last name when the video ended. I continued to fuss and cuss both of them out, as well as my son. I did reach out to Fairview County Township. However, the person I needed to speak to was out until Monday. Now, Monday is a holiday, so we're going to see how this goes. I have to follow the proper steps, but just know that I'm not letting up. Crazy part about all of this is what he assumed, what he thought. But again, because I was a black woman, that's the only reason. And it's ironic because an officer has the right to ask. You do not have to give up your right and answer, okay? You do have the right to say, am I under arrest? Am I free to go? Am I under arrest or am I free to go? Because you have the right to non-self-incrimination anyway. You already have that right. That's constitutionally mandated. You have that. And the government cannot compel you to incriminate yourself, regardless of if you've committed a crime or not, because everybody is innocent unless they are proven guilty. So he's dealing with an innocent person. And those laws, the law that allows for an investigative engagement or questioning or even reasonable suspicion, which to me was unreasonable given that it was just a coffee cup being handed. If you could qualify that under reasonable suspicion, that means that every coffee cup being handed by every coffee restaurant employee in the world is a potential for a reasonable suspicion of a crime. And it's not. All right, Shar, thoughts here.
Sir, this is not The Wire, okay?
Right.
The first part. Second, I love to do reverse, accusations in this, I would have asked him, is it meth in your car? Because, that would be that would be an accurate assumption according to, the lumping, the generalization that you just did there, sir. Because who crack in a coffee cup? Like
that wouldn't even be the move if there was crack there. Like he may want to know, sir, you need to do better at your job. If there was crack in the car, the coffee cup, that wouldn't be the move.
He was definitely pulling at straws because he was not expecting for her to have the response that she had. And I think that, you're right. I think we all need to start exercising our rights of, am I being arrested, or am I detained, or am I free to go? It's just that some of the things that they say sometimes are just so unbelievably offensive. It's kind of hard to not be like, But yeah, we got to stop wasting words with these cops and exercise our right to remain silent.
Yeah, there you go. And once again, people typically respond in good faith because they believe that the officer may have made a good faith mistake. And then you realize, okay, this is some profiling mess that I have nothing to do with. And that's when the offense kicks in. We'll bring you updates as they come. As the woman says, she guarantees to take this to the fullest extent possible. We got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
Hey everyone, Mateo Scarapo here, author of Black Buck, which is Shop TYT's first fiction book ever. I'm honored. So, Black Buck is about a young man named Darren who's living in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. He lives with his mom, he has his girlfriend, he has his best friend, he has his neighborhood, and his neighborhood has him. Darren's also working at a Starbucks in Midtown Manhattan. And one day, this man, real suave and good looking, comes in and asks Darren to give him his regular. But for some reason, Darren says no. This man named Rhett Daniels, who's the CEO of a startup called Someone, located on the 36th floor of the same building, is impressed. And he invites Darren upstairs, and then he extends an offer to join his elite sales team. Darren reluctantly joins, and he soon realizes that he's not the only black salesperson there. He's the only black person in the entire company. So he goes through hell and back in order to make it to the top. And once there, he has status, money, power, but he says, you know what? I don't like being the token black guy. So he hatches a plan to help other people of color infiltrate America's tech startup sales teams, redefining what it means to be a minority in the workplace. This book definitely, if you couldn't tell, touches on many things that are relevant to this moment that we're all living in right now. But it's also connected to the many moments in history that have come before today. I hope that you read it. I hope that you enjoy it. And if you want to order a copy, go to shoptyt.com. Thank you, be well, and happy 2021.
Here's the inside scoop on diners in LA. You want good pastrami sandwich, you go to Factors. You want to see some people in the business, you go to Nate and Al's. You want the best variety? My secret spot's the Nosh. Now here's the inside scoop on politics and news. You go watch the Young Turks live every day at 6 o'clock Eastern.
All right, welcome back. Good to be with you. I will read as many comments as I can. Grateful for everyone's comment. Liberty Blair. 911 had to tell him, hey, you could drive away, dummy. That's right. Bernie the Kiwi Dragon 4382. You can't even take care of a kid. I thought you were a big, tough guy. Yep. And Bubba Franks, the Sword Dragon, is a white guy that has smoked crack. As a white guy that has smoked crack, I could testify that a police officer has never asked me if I have any crack. Isn't that something? Thank you for your honesty, sir. And Forward Country 420 says you don't look 55, so he's admitted black don't crack, but won't admit that crack don't coffee cup. Michelle one says all the stereotypes in one stop. I mean, yeah, like that's your son? He looks kind of old to be all of the stereotypes. And Thomas of the Thomas. Purple, green, blue. I don't see human colors. They get me with that. It don't matter if you're green. Yes, sir, it would matter if I was green. I promise you. That would be an issue here. All right. Well, this is a bittersweet story. A cop yanks a deaf woman out of the car. That woman gets justice to the tune of $1.2 million. This is a hell of a story. Put it up full mass. Here we go. We have Michael Rose, a Nevada cop, confronted Andrea Hollingsworth. Here's the video.
Out. Come on. Let's go. Come on. That's all. Have your mom sit down on the curb for me first. What? Have her sit down on the curb.
No, I wouldn't know, but Abby.
No, she just wants to know
She
what
will
happened.
sit down on the curb and I will let her know. I will let her know as soon as she sits down. Now, we're here because a friend of hers is saying that she's out here stalking and harassing.
She's not stalking. She
I
just
don't
needs.
know what the truth is, but have her sit down.
Oh, no.
Okay, that's fine, but I need you to sit down. Sit down, or I will sit you down. Sit down. Don't do that stuff. Sit down. Sit. Put your hands on your back. Put your hands on your back. Put your hands on your back. Don't. Tell her to put her hands behind her back. Tell her to put her hands behind her back. One of you guys needs to talk some sense into her. Okay, so somebody needs to calm down so they can talk some sense into her.
Why?
Because you're not listening.
Just saw me. Why?
Okay, calm down.
And she gets out her phone and starts filming.
Right.
And is overly dramatic with her,
Yeah. Well, she's still being that way.
Of course. So then I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm recording too, but I need to get some information. So she's like, nope, and pushes my hand.
She's a mother. She's deaf. She was born deaf. Any officer paying attention to what's being said and how it's being said would have known this. Now, there's a defunding of the police by way of the police to the tune of $1.2 million. Put it up full mass. Once again, the Officer Rose, a Nevada cop who confronted Andrea Drake Hollingsworth, a deaf black woman in her car, was upset that she wasn't following directions, he says. So he pulled her out of the car, forced her down on the ground, placing his knee on her back while handcuffing her in front of her two terrified daughters. This took place in 2021. But Hollingsworth, who was born deaf, communicated mostly through sign language, reading lips, and written communication. And North Las Vegas police officer Michael Rose was wearing a neck gaiter over his mouth because the incident took place during COVID-19. That's why the mother was wearing a mask herself, making it impossible for her to read his lips. He also refused to allow her to communicate with him through writing, as she attempted. The incident took place on April 7, 2021, after police received a call from a woman accusing Hollingsworth of stalking her. But Hollingsworth's daughters explained to the police they were just trying to get the woman to pay them $200 in rent money owed to them after they moved out of the woman's apartment. The video shows Hollingsworth had no idea why she was being confronted, repeatedly asking the cop to explain. But the officer insisted she sit on the curb before he could explain anything, and Hollingsworth, of course, was unable to hear him or read his lips as he was ordering her, because she's deaf, period. All right? Once again, born deaf. Quote, sit down or I will sit you down. End quote, the cop says. Hollingsworth, she's confused. She's then forced down and handcuffed as her two 11-year-old twin daughters began crying. Quote, "One of you guys need to talk some sense into her," Rose tells the daughters, who continue crying. After she is handcuffed, Hollingsworth asks the cop, "Why? Why?" "Because you're not listening," he responds, apparently ignorant still of her hearing disability. Rose then tells the supervisor on his radio in his car that he pulled her out of the car because she got physical with him. But the videos, they do not show her getting physical with the officer ever. Quote, "And she gets out her phone and starts filming, and it's overly dramatic," he says. And I say, "Okay, that's fine. I'm recording too, but I need to get some information." He continues. She's like, "Nope," and pushes my hand, but out of the car. End quote. Despite his attempts to criminalize her, Hollingsworth was released from custody with no charges. Rose has since been promoted to sergeant, ironically. Last week, Hollingsworth was awarded $1.2 million for her trouble in a settlement over the unlawful abusive arrest stemming from a lawsuit that accused Officer Rose and the North Las Vegas Police Department of violating her 4th and 14th Amendment rights, as well as violating the Americans with Disabilities Act. The settlement also requires the North Las Vegas Police Department to provide mandatory training to officers on how to deal with people who are deaf. Isn't it something? You know how to deal with somebody who's deaf. You may not know sign language, but you do know that they cannot hear you and can't read your lips if you have your mouth covered. You need to go to training for that? No, it's called common sense. Something this cop obviously did not have. There's another dynamic. So the city of North Los Angeles issued the following statement to local media. Quote, "The training helps officers understand the unique communication needs of the deaf and the hard of hearing community. Additionally, the North Las Vegas Police Department contracts with ASL Communications to send an American Sign Language interpreter to scenes when needed. That service was already available at the time, but not utilized." Shar, thoughts?
As a sibling of someone who was born disabled, it never ceases to amaze me how insensitive so many people are to people with disabilities, and is genuinely sad. I'm glad that she received a settlement, but the fact that this officer is not only still on the force but was able to be promoted.
Yep.
The core problem within public safety, quote unquote, in this country. You know, they're able to fail up instead of being held accountable. If this is literally, if they actually understood the definition of defunding the police versus looking at a way to criminalize it, you would understand that we're actually trying to have some type of accountability, because if insurance, if these officers had to be bonded and these payments were being made out of their pocket, they would be a lot more careful, because it would be money coming out of their pocket in their pensions. But because it comes out of taxpayers' pockets, the same taxpayers that you are harming, it makes no difference to them.
Right, that's right. And every profession that has a degree of public trust, they require insurance. A medical doctor has to get their own insurance. Psychiatrists, they have to get their own insurance. Malpractice insurance. An attorney has to get malpractice insurance. That creates a self-regulation in the industry, because if you are eligible to be a cop, but you're not insurable because of how many violations you've had, that's a protection for the community. The community benefits from that scenario. But if you're a cop who has all of these violations, but taxpayers keep paying off your tab, that is a danger for the community, because there's no self-correction. All right, Shar, it has been a pleasure having you on the program. I cannot wait for you to come back to the show. Tell people how they can follow you and check out your great work.
Thank you so much for having me. You can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, wherever at I am Shar Bates, IAMSHARBATES, or go to sharbates.com. I am so happy to have spent my day with you guys. I had some good laughs and good awareness, and I can't wait to come back. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, dear sis. Appreciate all you do. All right. Remember, take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Take care of the planet. Remember, the truth is always indisputable.